Now, if you were listening yesterday, you would have heard my chat with the CEO of Containers for Change, and it led to a lot more questions. So many of you sent through questions about recycling. So I wanted to try and get some answers for you today. What waste solutions are underway in WA? Who is turning waste into something useful? Are we on the right track, or do we need to focus on producing less waste altogether? Tim Youé is the CEO of the Resource Recovery Group, who also run the Recycle Right campaign in WA. Good afternoon, Tim.
Good afternoon, Jo. How are you today?
I am well. Thank you for coming on to answer listeners' questions. Some of the questions from yesterday were, what can be thrown out in our yellow top bins?
Well, that's an important question, and it's really distills down into 5 things, and that is glass bottles and jars, preferably clean and empty, paper, not shredded, cardboard, and we like to see flattened cardboard boxes, not whole cardboard boxes, plastic bottles and containers, and they should be clean, empty with no lids on them, and finally steel and aluminium cans. Now, they are really the 5 groups of material that should go in your yellow top bin.
On the lids, Nathan was asking yesterday, is it true that bottle lids can be pushed into the plastic bottles and be recycled in that matter? Because that's what he's been doing, but he's worried that he's been contaminating the plastic bottle. Can you push the lid in? Is that a...
Good question. It depends on the lid, because some lids are the same material type as the bottle and others are not. And so the advice that we provide at the moment is that you take the lids off and do not put them in the recycling bin. The other contaminant of a lid can be the colour. So some processors want particular colours of material, and if you're putting a green or a red lid into a white bottle, then you are mixing up those colours. So to simplify it, because otherwise it's too complicated to think about, to simplify it, there's a number of not-for-profits that do take bottle lids separately, and I know Containers for Change will take them separately, and once they've got them in a discrete waste stream, they can actually then send them to a recycler for reprocessing. So that's a preferable method to do that.
Someone was asking how best to deal with all their glass bottles. Do they just go straight into the yellow lidded bin, or if they're smaller, they could go to Containers for Change?
Containers for Change is an excellent opportunity for people to recover 10 cents deposit on particular containers, and Containers for Change have that on their website, and yesterday Tim Cusack would have spoken about that. So it covers a variety of beer bottles and plastic beverage containers. If they do go into the yellow bin, however, those materials are still recycled, and we would take in the yellow top bin all glass. So whether it's a Containers for Change brand marked 10-cent refund container or not, it can go into the yellow top bin and it will get recovered. Similarly with plastic bottles.
At 4:24, I'm talking to Tim Youé. He's the CEO of the Resource Recovery Group, just trying to answer some of your many, many questions from yesterday when we were talking to the CEO of Containers for Change. This person was asking about washing milk cartons before putting them in the yellow bins. Do you need to do that, Tim?
It's preferable, and when we say clean bottles and jars, we don't mean that you should sort of spend hours washing them. You can just rinse them out with the dirty dishwash water. It's really just to try and get rid of the residual milk waste in there, because if you can imagine all those containers going to that have been sitting in your yellow top bin for a week or 2 weeks and then collected by a truck and then squashed together and then put into a facility, it can be quite odorous and unpleasant. So and the material in it is a contaminant. So it's preferable if it's just lightly rinsed out and then placed in your yellow top bin.
Tim, Steve's called in with a question for you. Good afternoon, Steve.
How you going, Tim? I'm just curious if you can put those heavy-duty plastic kids' toys in, if they're broken or in the yellow bin.
No.
Just repeat that, Tim.
No. And I say that because they're really trying to get simplicity on this. It's plastic bottles and containers. If it's not on the list I've said before, it doesn't go in the yellow top bin is probably the simplest way to think about it. Because at the end of the day, everything is recyclable, but not everything is recyclable through the yellow top bin. Because what happens with the material, we take out contaminants like kids' toys, washing baskets, car batteries.
Oh, car batteries.
Bottles.
Who's putting car batteries in yellow bins?
Probably 300 people a week, same as gas bottles. So it's a really important message to get out there that there are 5 classes of material to put in there, and that's glass bottles and jars, paper, cardboard, plastic bottles and containers, and steel and aluminium cans. And it's surprising what people try to put in the yellow top bin. As I say, some people do it with the best of intentions, and I really advise people to go to the Recycle Right website, or alternatively, you can download an app called Recycle Right from Google Play or from the App Store. And have it on your phone, and it will tell you exactly what to put in which bin.
Tim,
so regardless of where you live, you can use that as a resource.
Someone's asking on the text line about the fruit and veggie punnets. You know, the plastic punnets that fruit and veggies come in?
I'd have to see what they're talking about, because they come in many shapes and forms, and some are recyclable and some are not. Some are biodegradable, some are not. So if it's marked with a plastic code on the bottom of it, and it will be a plastic code between 1 and 7, more likely to be 1 or 2 or 5, that indicates that it can go into the recycling bin.
You've answered another question. Yeah. Someone saying, aren't only plastics with the numbers 1, 2, 4 and 5 allowed in? So that is the case?
You're correct, but we have all sorts of plastics go through the facility, and the residual plastics are what we call mixed plastics. And we're actually going to be hosting a company that's going to be processing those materials in the first part of next year. So those materials will get processed here in Perth. At the moment, they get processed interstate.
Oh, goodness, Tim, so many questions coming through. I'm not going to get to them all. Pizza boxes. Quickly, can you put pizza boxes in the yellow bin?
No.
Okay.
If they generally, the pizza boxes come with half a pizza in it, so we like to see pizza boxes go into a FOGO bin if you have it, which is an organics bin, which will both compost the leftover pizza and the pizza box. Essentially, if the pizza box is clean, you could put it in the recycling bin, but as a general rule, we say no, because they usually are not.
Finally, Tim, should we squash down cans and smash our bottles?
No.
There we go.
The aluminium cans are sorted by what's called an eddy current separator, and having a 3D vision of that, it helps the can go through the facility. We break the glass deliberately at our facility. We don't want it broken in the bin because it impregnates paper and cardboard and contaminates it.
Tim, great to chat to you. Thank you for answering all those questions.
You're welcome. No problem.
That was Tim Youé. He's the CEO of the Resource Recovery Group.